Eli had never felt like he belonged anywhere. On the alien planet of Zephora, humans were a rare sight, and most aliens considered them weak, strange, and clumsy. The streets of Zephora's capital sparkled with glass towers and floating vehicles, but to Eli it all seemed too fast, too loud, too alien. He preferred to wander slowly, noticing small things that others ignored, the way sunlight refracted through the towers, or the hum of energy in the streets. That day, Eli's stomach growled. He had skipped breakfast again. He walked past glowing stalls selling food he could not afford and watched aliens brush past each other, laughing, shouting, or showing off their gadgets. Eli had learned quickly to stay invisible, to move like a shadow so no one would bother him. But something on the street caught his attention, a small figure sitting cross-legged on the ground. It was a beggar. Eli stopped. The beggar was a tiny alien girl, or at least she looked like one. Her skin was a soft shade of violet, her hair long and silver falling in messy strands. She held out her hand for coins or food, but no one noticed. Aliens passed her by without a glance. Some children pointed and laughed. "Why do you even bother?" One child sneered. "She's nothing. No one cares about her." Eli hesitated. He felt a tug in his chest. He had learned to survive by keeping to himself, but something about the beggar's quiet presence made him pause. Something inside him whispered, "You can help her." I have some food," Eli said softly. He reached into his satchel and pulled out a small loaf of bread wrapped in cloth. He knelt beside her and offered it. The girl's eyes flicked up at him. They were large, shining like tiny stars. She didn't speak at first, just stared at him. "Here," Eli said again, trying to hide the nervousness in his voice. "Eat this." The alien girl accepted it slowly, her hands trembling. She tore a small piece and ate, savoring it as if she had never tasted anything so simple. Eli smiled. From across the street, a group of aliens snickered. "Look at that human." One of them laughed. "Helping a beggar? Pathetic." "They're weak," another said. "Humans have no power." "That boy is nothing." Eli felt a sting in his chest. He knew he was small, weak, and strange, but he also felt pride. "I did the right thing," he thought. "That's what matters." The beggar's eyes met his again, and this time she spoke. Her voice was soft, almost musical. "You don't know what you've done," she said. Eli frowned. I don't understand." "Just remember this," she whispered. "Kindness has a way of changing things you cannot see." Before Eli could ask more, she lowered her head and pretended to sleep, hiding her face from the mocking crowd. Eli felt confused but also strangely comforted. He stood up and walked away, trying not to draw attention. The laughter of the aliens followed him, but he kept his head high. He wandered through the city, thinking about what had happened. Why did I help her? He wondered. It's not like I'll get anything in return. And yet he felt a warmth in his heart he had never felt before. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, Eli returned to the small alley where he lived. His home was nothing more than a tiny metal shack tucked between towering structures. Inside he unpacked his few belongings, a worn satchel, a small journal, and a few pieces of bread he had saved for later. That night, Eli lay on his thin mattress, staring at the ceiling. The beggar's words repeated in his mind. Kindness has a way of changing things you cannot see. He didn't understand them, but they made him feel hopeful. The next morning, Eli woke early. He had decided to go back to the street where the beggar had been. Maybe she was still there. Maybe he could help again. When he arrived, the place was empty. The beggar was gone. Eli's heart sank. He wandered the area, looking in every alley and corner, but there was no sign of her. Just as he was about to give up, he noticed something strange. A faint shimmer in the air, almost like a ripple in the light. It seemed to move as if something or someone was hiding there. Eli approached slowly. "Hello?" he called softly. The shimmer grew, and then the beggar appeared. But this time something was different. Her small frame seemed taller, her eyes brighter. She looked more powerful. Eli took a step back, unsure. "You are curious," she said, her voice calm but commanding. "Few are curious enough to notice what others ignore. I just wanted to help," Eli said, his voice barely above a whisper. The beggar, or whatever she truly was, smiled faintly. "Your heart is unusual, human. Most on this planet act out of fear or pride. You acted out of compassion, that is." Eli felt a mix of pride and confusion. "I don't understand. Who are you?" She looked at him with a steady gaze. I am not what I appear to be. I came here to observe. To test, and you passed. Eli's eyes widened. Test passed? What do you mean? The girl's form shimmered again. She began to grow, her small, fragile appearance transforming into that of a regal alien with shining armor and flowing robes. Energy danced around her in soft waves, and Eli instinctively stepped back. You laughed at my test, she said, her eyes flashing with a hint of amusement. But you acted without hesitation. You saw need and you helped. That is something few possess, human. Eli's mouth went dry. Are you some kind of important person? I am more than that, she replied. I am a member of the Galactic Council, an envoy sent to judge the hearts of species across the stars. And you have shown a strength no technology or weapon could ever measure. Eli's mind raced. He had always felt small, weak, and powerless, and yet here he was, being recognized by one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. He didn't know what to say. The envoy smiled. Do not worry, human boy. Your actions have set events into motion that will change much. For now, remember this. Kindness is a power. One day you may see its full effect. Eli nodded slowly, still in awe. I'll remember. As she vanished into the bustling city, leaving only a faint shimmer in the air, Eli felt a strange mix of excitement and fear. The aliens who had laughed at him before had no idea what they had missed. And Eli, small and human, had already begun to shape a future larger than he could imagine. That night, as Eli lay on his mattress, he thought of the envoy's words. Kindness is a power. He smiled faintly. Perhaps being human was not a weakness after all. Perhaps in a galaxy full of strength, pride, and technology, his greatest weapon was something they would never understand. And somewhere in the city, the envoy watched silently, knowing that one small human boy had begun a chain of events that could change the galaxy forever. The city of Zephora never slept, but that night it seemed quieter, almost still. Eli couldn't sleep either. He lay on his thin mattress, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the beggar, the envoy as she had revealed herself. He could not shake the feeling that his life had changed forever. By morning, Eli was already awake, determined to understand more. He knew the envoy had vanished after their encounter, but he felt a pull toward the streets where it had all begun. Perhaps she would appear again. As he walked, the city felt different. The glowing towers seemed taller, the floating vehicles more imposing, and yet, Eli felt braver. The memory of the envoy's eyes, filled with power and approval, gave him courage he had never known. Turning a corner, he noticed a crowd gathering in the main plaza. Curiosity drew him closer. The plaza was dominated by the Galactic Council Hall, a towering structure of crystal and metal, reserved for the most influential beings across the galaxy. Eli had only heard stories of humans entering such a place, and only as servants or visitors, never as equals. At the center of the plaza stood the envoy, radiant and commanding. Around her were hundreds of aliens, including some who had mocked Eli the day before. Their eyes widened as they saw her shimmer with authority. Bring me the human boy, she commanded, her voice echoing across the plaza. The mocking aliens gasped. They had laughed at Eli, yet here he was being summoned by someone far above their status. Eli stepped forward, unsure if he could even approach, but the envoy's gaze met his, steady and unwavering. You want me? Eli stammered. Yes, she said. Step forward, human. You are no longer unnoticed. Eli hesitated for a moment, then walked toward her. Each step felt heavy, yet he was strangely calm. When he reached her, the envoy extended a hand, not to touch him, but to acknowledge him. You have been tested, she said. Many species were observed, countless beings evaluated. You are the first human whose heart has passed. Eli blinked. Passed? I just helped someone. Exactly, she said. You acted without expectation, without fear, without thought of reward. That is rare. That is strength. The aliens who had mocked him shifted uncomfortably. Some bowed their heads in shame. The children who had laughed before stared in disbelief. A few whispered among themselves, wondering how a human, small and weak in appearance, could gain the attention of someone so powerful. Eli felt a mixture of pride and unease. He had never wanted attention. He had only wanted to do what was right, and yet, here he was, standing before one of the most influential beings in the galaxy, The envoy continued, her eyes sweeping across the plaza. From this moment, humanity will no longer be ignored. This boy represents the potential of your species. You have shown that compassion, courage, and integrity can rival technology, weapons, or wealth. Eli's mind raced. Me, a symbol? I'm just... me. Will he be safe here? Asked a small alien nearby cautiously. He is only a human. The envoy's eyes softened slightly. He will be more than safe. He will be respected. He will learn. He will grow. And he will guide others to see the power humans hold. Eli felt a mix of fear and excitement. He had never imagined such a future. And yet the envoy's words rang true. His act of kindness, so simple, so ordinary, had changed everything. The envoy turned to the mocking aliens. Let this be a lesson. Do not underestimate others based on appearance, strength, or technology. True power lies in heart and action. Some of the aliens looked away in shame while others murmured their agreement. For the first time, Eli realized that humans might be small in body, but their spirit could inspire awe in even the strongest beings. Eli, the envoy said, turning back to him, you will accompany me to the Galactic Council. There you will learn, observe, and perhaps one day guide your people. You will show them the true value of humanity. Eli swallowed hard. I can do that. Yes, she said firmly. You have already begun. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is acting in spite of it. Compassion is not weakness, it is power. And humans, you are capable of both. The plaza erupted in murmurs and whispers. Many aliens were astonished. Some were inspired. Eli, however, focused only on the envoy, trying to absorb every word, every gesture. For weeks, Eli trained under the envoy's guidance. He learned about the galaxy, its many species, and their ways of life. He learned diplomacy, strategy, and the subtle power of influence. But more importantly, he learned that humans possessed qualities that could change the course of civilizations: empathy, courage, and the ability to act selflessly. Through it all, Eli remained humble. He did not boast of his recognition. He did not demand attention or reward. He simply acted with integrity, helping those in need, speaking truth, and showing kindness in even the smallest acts. Word of Eli's deeds began to spread across the city. The aliens who had once laughed at him now watched with respect. Some sought his guidance. Others merely whispered, wondering if humans, small, unassuming humans, might have a role in shaping the galaxy. One day, the envoy brought Eli to the council hall. Inside, hundreds of powerful beings gathered, discussing matters of trade, war, and alliances. Eli felt nervous. He was the smallest, youngest, and most inexperienced among them. Yet the envoy stood beside him, nodding. Speak, human, she said. Show them what you have learned. Eli took a deep breath. He looked around at the council members, his voice steady. We often judge others by what we see, size, strength, or technology. But true value lies in how we act, in how we treat those who cannot defend themselves. Compassion, courage, and empathy. These are strengths, not weaknesses. We as humans may be small, but our hearts can be powerful enough to change worlds. A hush fell over the hall. Council members exchanged glances, some surprised, some inspired. The envoy smiled. Eli's words, simple and honest, carried more weight than any speech, weapon, or technology. From that day forward, humans were no longer dismissed. Eli became a symbol of hope, a reminder that true strength is not always visible, and that a single act of kindness can ripple through the galaxy. Years later, Eli would look back on the day he helped a beggar, laughed at by aliens, and he would smile. He had never known that such a small act could set in motion a journey that would change not only his life, but the perception of his entire species. The envoy, watching silently, knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had shown its potential, and through Eli, the galaxy would learn that the heart of a human was a force to be reckoned with. And somewhere, in a quiet corner of Zephora, the aliens who had once mocked him whispered to each other, realizing that they had laughed at the one thing that could not be measured by strength, wealth, or technology, the courage of a human heart. Eli smiled. Knowing that he had done nothing extraordinary, he had only helped. And yet in helping, he had become extraordinary.